All right. The Committee of Adjustment is a body appointed by City Council to hear applications for relief from the city's zoning bylaws and also to hear applications to sever property within the city in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act. The procedure followed by this committee is that we will first hear from the applicant. We will then invite those who wish to ask any questions or voice their objections to the application to come forward. The committee will consider all the information presented, will then render its decision. If you wish to be notified of the decision of the Committee of Adjustment in respect to this application, you must submit a written request before the Committee of Adjustment makes a decision. Requests are to be made to the Secretary Treasurer, Mr. Jeff Bannon, in the Building and Planning Department at jbannon@stratford.ca. This will also entitle you to be advised of a possible local planning appeal tribunal hearing. Even if you are the successful party, you should request a copy of the decision, since the Committee of Adjustment decision may be appealed to the local planning appeal tribunal by the applicant or another member of the public. Any decision reached by this committee is not final and binding until after the appeal period has expired. If you wish to appeal the committee's decision to the local planning appeal tribunal, you may do so within that appeal period. By completing the request of decision form available from jbannon@stratford.ca, persons other than the applicant or his or her agent who wish copies of the decision will have decisions sent to you. Do any members have a declaration of pecuniary interest with any application?
No.
Hearing none, we will then hear our first application. Mr. Bannon. Victoria, I guess, is the one that's going to do this one.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody.
Yeah.
So the first application on the agenda is consent application B02-21, filed by Kelvin Thompson on behalf of Una Thompson for 289-291 Albert Street. The application is to reestablish the lot line between both properties, which had inadvertently merged on title by way of both lots being held under the same ownership. The severance would result in two separate parcels that retain the original boundaries, frontages, and setbacks that existed prior to the lots merging on title. Minor variance application A04-21 has also been submitted for the subject properties to address the side yard setbacks and the frontages of both properties, which will be discussed in the next item. There have been no public comments.
Victoria, before you go on, I'll entertain a motion to hear both applications. Charlene?
Sure.
Seconded. Jerry, second.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any opposed? Hearing none, both applications can then go forward together.
Sure. So there have been no public comments received to date for either of the applications. The applicant is subject to conditions, including the approval of the minor variance application and the submission of compliance to the Ontario Building Code to demonstrate the spatial separation between the existing building walls and the newly proposed property line, and also to provide Bell Canada with a 3-meter wide easement for their infrastructure. Planning staff are in support of this application with the conditions noted. Now on to the minor variance application. The variance is requested for 289 Albert are to reduce the frontage from 10 meters to 9.87 and to reduce the easterly side yard setback from 1 meter to 0.93 meters. The variance is requested for 291 Albert are to reduce the frontage from 14 meters to 9.87 and to reduce the westerly side yard setback from 1 meter to 0.14 meters. Each of the variances requested reflect that the existing form, that it is existing built form, and there's no structural changes that are proposed. There have been, again, no public comments on the condition that Bell Canada's requirements are satisfied.
Okay, is there anyone to speak to this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on the consent application.
Sorry. The consent application with the recommendations from 1 to 8. There was no public input, and it meets the intent of the zoning bylaw.
Okay, and is there a seconder to the consent application? Charlene, I got first. Any opposition? Sorry. Any opposed? So the consent application is approved. Now I'll entertain a motion for the variance.
Minor variances, I'll move the minor variances. Once again, the recommendations of variances requested from 1 to 5 be included, and there was no public comment, and the minor variance is desirable.
Okay, is there a seconder to that? Jerry, got you. Any opposition? Hearing none, that is approved. I see that Mr. Thompson is on the call now. Was there anything that you wanted to add at all, or you just go ahead?
Yes, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, all right. That's fine. So that one's done. So then we'll move on to the next application. And Victoria, we'll let you go ahead with the next one, please.
Yep, so the next application is minor variance application A05-21, filed by Kevin and Joan Aitchison on behalf of Tyson and Michaela Aitchison for 317 Colbert Street. The variances requested are to reduce the frontage from 15 meters to 12.19 meters and to reduce the lot area from 150 meters squared, from 450 meters squared to 444.7 meters squared. And to reduce the easterly side yard setback from 2 meters to 0.58 for the proposed converted dwelling. There have been no public comments received up to date for this application, and planning staff are in support if the following conditions are addressed, which are to obtain a building permit for the conversion of the dwelling and for the permit to be consistent with the concept site plan submitted with this application.
Okay, is there someone to speak to this application? I see Kevin Aitchison. Are you speaking to the application?
Yes, just a bit of back history for the property. It was owned for years by Lawrence Finch. I think anybody that's been a resident of town kind of knows him. All the neighbors have said it was a duplex for as long as they've known. When they sold it to us, they had taken out the wall between the units and finished the floors, I think, to appeal to a single family dwelling. We have sold our place, and we are now, our family's owned it, like you said, for 5 years. We are now going to make this our principal residence. So it's not something we're looking for to get all this in place and then flip it. This is going to be our forever home on a nice street close to the tennis court. So the intent is for us to be there. Our son's going to live on the main floor. We're going to live on the top 2 floors. So just so you know that this is like I said, our principal residence on a go-forward basis if this all goes through.
Okay, committee members have questions. I have one question to do with the parking. Mr. Bannon, maybe you can answer this. Is there sufficient parking to cover it being a duplex facility?
I can speak to that.
Okay.
Yes, there is. They've included extra parking spot towards the back of the lot.
And there's room between the garage that's
Yes.
existing?
Yes,
Okay.
so it won't be in tandem.
All right. Anybody else to speak to this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion to approve the variances as requested, 1 to 3, subject to the 2 conditions listed by planning staff. No public input was received, and it is desirable.
Okay. Seconder for that? Jerry? Anybody opposed? That is approved. All right. Next application, please, Victoria.
Next application is minor variance application A08-21 filed by Gerard O'Rourke on behalf of Kim McCarthy for 590 Foreman Avenue. The variance requested is to reduce the rear yard depth from 6 meters to 2.88 meters to allow for a proposed screen porch with steps. A lot coverage variance was also subsequently requested. The variance would allow for an increase in maximum lot coverage from 40% to 50.24%. Planning staff have received public comments regarding to the size of the proposed structure, as neighbors have raised concerns that this addition will block sightlines, create shadowing on neighboring properties, and decrease the value of all surrounding homes. Additional comments from a neighbor had been received after the report was finalized. It was circulated to the committee members. It should be noted that the proposed porch encroaches into the setback by 1.6 meters, and the steps encroach an additional 1.52 meters. The applicant has also submitted a drawing with sightlines to demonstrate the impact that the proposal will have on the adjacent properties. The proposed structure meets all other regulations in the zoning bylaw, including side yard setbacks. Planning staff are in support of the application, provided that a condition is imposed requiring the applicant to submit a lot grading and drainage plan to demonstrate that the proposal will not negatively impact the grading and drainage of their property and the neighboring properties. A copy of the approved minor variances are also required to be submitted with the future building permit application. Due to the second variance requested after the notice of application was issued, planning staff also recommends that the Committee of Adjustment pass a resolution that no further notice is required under Section 45(5) of the Planning Act.
Okay, is there anyone to speak to this application?
Yes, can you hear me? Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
All right, thank you. It's Gerard O'Rourke speaking here.
Yeah.
I'm the agent for Kim McCarthy. The proposal that we put forward here is an enclosed porch, but it is screened on the sides. So the sides of the actual structure itself are open. It will have a roof over top of it. The eaves of the roof will align with the existing eaves of the existing house. So it'll not be any higher than the existing eaves at that point. The total structure is less than the total height of the main house. And I've drawn a drawing which Victoria spoke about a moment ago with some sight lines in it. We also had the opportunity to revisit the site yesterday again during the sun to see what effect the sun has on it. The sun in mid-afternoon was directly into the backyard. So there were virtually no shadows on the side property lines between the buildings, and that the structure itself was not creating, the existing house was not creating any shadowing lines of any kind. Now we will be extending into that, but the extension is straight out from the back of the existing structure. So the effects of the sight line would not be any different than the current house is, based on aligning all the eaves and then the extension where it's proposed in our drawings. So I think in terms of sight lines, there are tall fences on one side of the property that provide a visual screen. These properties all have a slightly raised backyard, so every one of them requires steps from the back door down to the grade. We will also be requiring steps from this structure down to the grade, which will comply with the grading levels that are existing on the property. So I think we've, the impact of this is minimal in terms of shadow lines because of the orientation of the building, and our heights align with the existing height structure of the existing dwelling. So we're not really creating anything different here. We're just simply following the lines of the existing.
Okay, members of the committee have questions of the applicant. Jerry, go ahead.
You Chair to Mr. O'Rourke. Is the deck already built, or is that part of this whole project?
The deck is not built. It is part of the whole project. So there will be a raised wood deck constructed, and on top of that will be a screened porch with a roof on top of that screened porch. The porch is effectively the deck. So it's a covered screened deck or porch.
I just have a comment about the sun. I'm not sure, in my personal opinion, I live up in that area, but not like about 3 blocks away. But anyway, we're talking about a March sun here and not a June or July sun. But in my opinion, I think that's kind of a moot point because the back of the house is facing towards the south anyway. So I don't know how much that's really going to be relevant in the whole process.
Okay, anything else, Jerry?
That's all I have right this second.
Charlene, go ahead.
Just want to clarify, so with the increased lot coverage, that includes the concrete slab area that's going to be in the setback area as well as the deck, or the concrete slab area will be an additional piece of coverage?
Sorry, go ahead, Victoria.
Sorry, Jared. I just wanted to mention, yeah, so the lot coverage is only pertaining to the existing structure, and the proposal, the cement slab is not really part of any structure, so it won't be counting towards the frontage. Or sorry, not the frontage, the coverage. Yeah.
And that could have an impact on drainage, could it not?
Well, that's why we are also requesting the grading and drainage plan, just to demonstrate that the proposal won't negatively impact the grading and drainage of their property and the neighboring properties.
Okay. Thank you.
Roger, do you have any questions?
No, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Could I add one more comment to that?
Yes, go ahead.
With respect to the proposed addition, this addition is raised above the ground. It does not have a formal foundation underneath it. It's supported on engineered helical piers, so they're like a small post. And so the structure is open on the bottom. So in terms of water drainage, whatever goes through the screen, goes through the deck, goes right through. So although we have a covered structure, it is supported on helical piles. So that allows water to drain underneath it, as it currently does right now.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak to this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'm sorry, I'm Alexandra.
Yeah,
sorry,
go ahead.
I'm Alexandra Landis. We live adjacent to said property. We purchased our house back in 2014, and we have two girls that go to St. Al's and will go to St. Mike's when they get to high school. We're a young family, and over the last 3 years, we've completed our backyard retreat. This will be our first summer that we get to enjoy our finished product. We have submitted our concerns as well as a letter of opinion from a local realtor prior to this meeting, but wanted the opportunity to point out a couple of additional concerns we have. The proposed plans for 590 Foreman Ave directly impact our family as we are adjacent to the property, as I said before. The proposed site plan that was sent out fails to indicate a couple of things that we would like to point out for consideration. First, there is no indication of where the adjacent houses sit in relation to 590 Foreman. The existing footprint of 590 Foreman extends past both the front and back of the properties on either side, taking up more of the lot without taking this addition into consideration. Also, this site plan does not illustrate the elevation of our houses. Our back doors are about 5 feet off the ground, and from the back of our house to our property line, the difference in grade is about 3 feet. We feel this fully enclosed structure is essentially a second-story addition to the back of the house. This would sit over the top of our 7-foot step-down fence, and any privacy we thought we had in our backyard would be lost. Also, because of the height of the structure and how far it goes out past our house, there would be sightlines directly into our home through our living room window. I disagree with the point Gerard made about the existing house sightlines wouldn't have any impact, but you're talking about the existing house, not with this great big addition onto the back of it. We bought our property and paid a premium for our lot to enjoy the expansiveness of our backyard, the location for our children's school, and never thought we would be put in this position to have to do this even today. We adore Kim. We would love for her to have a space to enjoy our lovely backyards. However, we do think these proposed plans will greatly impact us in a negative way. We don't know the extent of the project from what was provided to us from those drawings, but it feels like a fully enclosed addition is being proposed that almost takes up the entirety of the backyard, completely changing the atmosphere of our outdoor and main floor living spaces. So I'm sorry, but we're against this, even though that hurts me because Kim is lovely.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak to this? Jerry, you've got a question?
I have a question. I don't know whether it can be answered or not, but through you, Chair, can we know the address of your your property in conjunction to the subject property?
We are
Alexander?
we are 596 Foreman Ave. So if you're looking at the front of Kim's house, I am to the direct neighbor on the right-hand side.
Okay, yeah, you're right. You're right beside it. Okay.
Yeah, so when her structure goes up to the left of our house and the sun rises in the east, which comes over our houses, it is that when that structure that will sit much above our 7-foot tall fences with the step down, it's us that have said even the shading concern into the back.
Okay, anyone else that wishes to speak to this application? Committee members, any other questions?
Hello, can you
Yes.
hear me?
Yes, Kim, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kim McCarthy. Thanks for your time and attention on this matter. I'm in a bungalow where all of the adjacent homes around me are 2-story homes. So as a result of that, the footprint of my home is larger and actually extends further back. And my property just sits higher as well, even though I'm a bungalow with a loft. And consequently, even though I haven't put a deck on the back yet, I can see the entirety of my neighbors' yards because of the elevation. So the privacy issue is kind of mute. I could take the laptop over to the window and show you if you wanted. I can see the entire backyard over the fence.
No, that's fine. We don't need to see it,
Yeah,
but we
so
appreciate what your
from my
comments.
dining room and from my living room. So in terms of privacy, there really isn't any now, you know?
Mhm.
So I just wanted to add that point.
Okay, anyone else wishes to speak to the
Yeah.
application?
It's Alexandra. I would like to
Yes.
respond to that. Although she does look over into the yards, when you then extend for the extent that she's asking to extend, you can then also look into the back of our house. And to have something built up 2 stories beside our, what you'd think is a decent 7-foot high fence that we just paid to have put in last year, you still feel like the privacy is gone, because now where somebody could be viewing from in the house, not that I think that's a concern, but it is now literally right beside your outside space.
Okay.
Could
Any
I
other-
speak to that?
Who is it? Gerard?
This is
it?
Gerard, yes.
Yes, go ahead.
One of the options that Kim and I have discussed early in the process is possibly the elevation of our screen porch area that faces the adjacent neighbor that we're discussing. One of the options was that wall might end up being a solid wall and not a screen wall. Therefore, that would stop all viewing from either property into this space. It would basically be if you will, an extension of the height of a fence. But the structure itself would have a solid wall along that side, so that the screen would then only be on 2 of the 3 sides. And that wall could then be made in such a way that it doesn't have openings in it, and that would restrict views. But Kim may want to speak to that possibility as well. Thank you.
And any other comments? Yes, Charlene, go ahead. Just a minute. Go ahead, Charlene.
This is a substantial increase in the amount of lot coverage. And I know the planner has written some rationale, but I'm still puzzled why such a substantial increase is deemed acceptable. Yes, that's my question. So Victoria, would you mind just re-summarizing why you think this is acceptable?
Sorry, I just had to find my unmute button there. So when we originally got the application, we were not aware that the lot coverage would be increased. Based upon review, we determined that the proposal does count as part of the lot coverage since it is being attached to the building. Now, we had a little bit of a last minute interaction with Gerard where we had to retrieve that lot coverage amount. So that's why that wasn't more specifically analyzed, because it was more of a last minute variance addition due to the timing.
All right then.
Charlene, if I may jump in here, it's Alyssa Bridge, the manager of planning.
Yeah.
Part of what, when we considered that lot coverage variance, is also that condition on the variance with respect to the lot grading and drainage plan. So the idea behind that requirement is to ensure that that lot coverage variance isn't going to negatively impact the grading and drainage on the plan. So that variance request is somewhat backstopped with that technical requirement to make sure that there's going to be no negative impacts when it comes to grading and drainage, because ultimately that maximum lot coverage percentage is really there in place to make sure that stormwater can infiltrate and drain and grade as proposed in the subdivision plans. So we looked at the two things in tandem, the request with the condition for the grading and drainage plan.
And again, did that include this, what I see on the sketch here, this additional cement slab coverage? I guess that didn't in your original, but yeah, I'm answering my own question here. But when the grading analysis is done, that will be included as part of the analysis, correct?
It through the chair, it should be, Charlene, yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Right, any other comments from, yes, Jerry, go ahead.
Question again for Mr. O'Rourke. Trying to find some commonality here. How high in this proposal, maybe I'm just not reading it right, how high is this deck going to be off grade? Above grade, sorry.
Okay. It will be approximately approximately 5 feet at the back of the house, because it matches with the sliding door on the back rear elevation of the existing house. And then when it goes away from the house, it will be around 7.5 feet above grade, because the lot slopes towards the stormwater management pond. And so the front elevation at the extreme built out part would be about 7.5 feet above ground.
Okay, so is there any potential for compromise that the deck wouldn't have to be that high to maybe alleviate some of the neighbors' concerns about looking into their backyard?
Well, we're trying to match the elevations on the back of the houses. That house in particular has no deck or nothing on the back right now. It's just a door 5 feet above grade right now.
That's not what I asked. I asked, is it possible to do this? I know what you're trying to attempt. I'm just, again, trying to find some common ground here. Is there any way that there could be a compromise in the deck height?
Well, I think our condition that we run into is that we have that door on the back of the house. If we lower the roof structure, this structure completely, then that door would be above the inside of the screen porch area, because I can't lower the door on the back of the house. It's fixed with a sill on the bottom and a top of the door. So the structure has to at least clear the door opening. And that's what we've done. We've matched the existing eaves of the house, and that's the height we started with.
Okay, I have a better, now let me ask you this question. That explained it a lot better. How far out into the backyard is that height right now? Proposed. Am I right in assuming like 4 meters, 4.19 meters? Or am I reading the drawing wrong?
That would be, yes, that would be fairly accurate, yes. Because it's 13'9", so that's roughly
4.19
meters.
Okay, Charlene, you have a question?
Okay.
Well, if I could just maybe build a bit on Jerry's comments and question. You know, this whole thing feels just a little too big. Is it possible to scale things down overall?
Well, this structure is actually smaller than the existing bungalow height, both in heights and the width. We've matched the same width as the rear of the house. Right. So if we were to lower it in any way, that would either lower the ceiling height inside the screened area, which currently is at 8 feet. So we'd have to lower the ceiling height inside the structure because we have to match the floor of the door.
No, I get that. So there's no other way to make all of this just a bit smaller.
We could maybe lower the pitch on the roof so it looks lower, but we were trying to.
Can you make the deck surface smaller?
That's possible.
I think maybe. I think just all of this feels just a little too big for the neighbors and for the area and for the lot size. That's my comment.
Okay, Roger, go ahead.
The overall size of the deck, can you tell me the width and length of that deck?
Yes.
Yes. What is it?
The back of the house has an offset in it, so the deck, if you will, is somewhat L-shaped. So the maximum dimension on the deck from the back of the house at the indent is 18 feet, and on the other side where the projection is 13'9".
Any other questions, Roger?
Then the width matches the width of the house, which is 26 feet.
That's right. Okay. And so basically what you're doing is coming out from the back of the house. Is that correct?
Correct.
And as far as encroachment on either side of the house, you're staying within the footprint of the walls of on either side of the home. Is that correct?
Correct. And it complies with the side yard setbacks as well.
That's what I want to get at. Okay.
Yeah.
So whether you, and if you build the deck, you lower the roof, what happens inside is your ceiling is much lower then. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes. Otherwise, we have to take the deck surface and put step levels inside to get the whole structure lower, but then you use up your deck space on stairs. Its function then is impeded by levels inside the deck. But we still have the issue of the back door of the house. We can't be lower than the top of the door.
That's right. You can't. As a builder, I know these things.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else who wishes to go ahead, Roger?
I understand the neighbor's concern, but in all true honesty, as I drive throughout the city and I look at lot coverages in backyards today, the lot coverage is within norm. They're not destroying the overall lot coverage of the house. And I personally see nothing wrong with this proposal.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Sure, I would like to make another comment here.
Yes, go ahead, Alexandra.
Thank you. So as far as putting up a solid wall that we have just heard would be at the end 7.5 feet off the ground, 8 foot inside ceiling height, plus a roof pitch on top to run 18 feet. And her house already sits back, say 5, 6, 7 feet from my house. So we're talking 25 feet into my backyard. I'm sorry, I did not buy a house in downtown Toronto with a brick wall beside me. This is not what we thought could ever happen in our backyard. And we are completely opposed to this entire plan.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from committee members? Hearing none.
Through the chair, I just noticed that one other hand was raised during the discussion. I think Kim had raised it. I'm not sure if she's had an opportunity to voice all of her concerns. She might have another question.
Kim, do you want to have anything to add?
No, I hadn't intentionally raised my hand. I guess what I'm imitating is what several of the homes have done along, I'm sorry, I don't know the name of the street, but two sides of the pond are Foreman Avenue, and then the third side of the pond that's residences. There's several homes there that have extended the roof line and done beautiful decks, and really there aren't lawns because of the issue with weeds with the pond that we back onto, right? So I'm really just trying to achieve low maintenance and a deck that I can step out on because this is the home that I plan on remaining in and aging into. So to have additional steps, lowering the deck level really wouldn't be desirable.
Thank you. Okay, hearing no other comments, I will entertain a motion. Jerry, go ahead.
I will move.
Roger, Jerry's got it.
I don't know if this is if this is feasible or not, but and again, this is my inexperience on the board here, but I'd like to, for my own personal use, I'd like to see this tabled for a meeting so I can do a little bit more research and give it some more thought. I don't think in good conscience I can make a decision one way or another on this today. So either that or I abstain from it.
So are you making a motion to defer it?
Yes.
You can't.
Just a minute, Roger. Charlene's got her hand up. Go ahead, Charlene.
No, I would second that.
Okay, so there's a motion to defer. It's been seconded. Any further discussion?
Yeah, if we're deferring this motion, okay, we must defer it at no cost to the homeowner, because if it comes back, the homeowner has to pay another $800, and I don't know whether my fellow members understand that.
What? Yes, we do.
But the other aspect to it, if you look at it from a rationale point of view, let me just look at here. The Committee of Adjustment, there's been no notice concerning the coverage of the lot. The notice that went out, the required notice, dealt with the deck, but not the lot coverage. So that may be reason enough for this to be deferred, and consider if there should be an additional notice that goes out. Any comments?
I would have to ask planning staff if that was a concern for lot coverage when they authorized and said to go ahead. So is there a planner that can answer me that question?
Sure, through the chair, Roger. Because the concept plan that was circulated with the original notice of the application didn't change between the variances it requested, so meaning that the lot coverage shown on that concept plan is the same as the lot coverage variance being requested. Planning staff were comfortable recommending that no further notice would be required for that variance. That's why that was included in the report as a recommendation to the committee.
Right, and that's what I understood.
Okay.
So as far as lot coverage is concerned, the lot coverage is what it's going to be, bottom line.
Okay. We have a deferral motion that has been made. It's been seconded. There's no further discussion on the deferral motion. Sorry, no, there's no further discussion on it. The committee has made the motion. Jerry, did you want to add something to the motion?
Again, just my inexperience here. I really don't want to see anybody have to spend any more money on this. If that is the case, is there, again, I'm just asking questions here. Is there a way where we can table this till the end of the meeting, get the rest of it out of the way? Can we go into an in-camera session, or is that allowed? I'm just asking some questions here.
No, it's not allowed. Not at this point in time that I'm aware of.
No.
So We
I
have the
stand by my,
deferral.
I gotta stand by my motion then.
Okay, so the deferral motion's been made, it's been seconded. Any opposition to the motion?
Can
I'm
I
opposed.
oppose it?
That's fine. Opposition is noted. So that motion is passed. So this application is deferred. Thank you.
Okay,
Next step.
Yeah,
Next.
next application, minor variance application A09-21 was filed by Robert Ritz on behalf of Nathalie Millette for 40 Britannia Street. The variances requested are to reduce the westerly side yard setback from 2 meters to 1.5 meters and to reduce the easterly side yard setback from 2 meters to 0.25 meters for the proposed attic renovation. There have been no public comments received to date for this application, and planning staff are in support, subject to the condition that the applicant is to submit a building permit application for the proposed renovation work along with the approved minor variance.
Okay, someone to speak to the application?
Yes, Kevin, Robert Ritz.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you for your time this afternoon. It's sort of the nature of the beast, this one. The client would like to have 2 dormers on the side of her property. The one dormer is specifically for more headroom clearance in their stairwell, and we're mirroring it on the other side. And because of how the lot's presently situated, or the building is situated on the lot, it is closer to one property line than the other. So in fact, as you can see, parts of the building are in violation of the current bylaw. The dormer is generally an issue with having a dormer facing side properties. When you look at the photograph, is it going to infringe on the neighbor's privacy? And when you look, we're looking down on a roof of one building, and on the other side, we're looking down on the garage. So it's the distance is there. There's nothing to really infringe on privacy. And as per staff's recommendation, you know, it appears fair and reasonable and within the requirements.
Okay, members of the committee have questions of the applicant? Hearing none, is there anyone else that wishes to speak to this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move the variances along with recommendations of the planning staff 1 and 2. And we did not receive any public comment. And the reason is the minor variances requested are minor in nature.
Okay, is a seconded by Jerry. Any further discussion? Any opposition? That is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
And next application.
The next,
Mr. Bannon.
yes, the next application is A10-21. The property is located at 111 Lakeside Drive. The purpose of the application is to reduce the minimum number of parking spaces required to be made available to the public from 160.
Oh, hi, Kim. It's Gerard calling here. We just finished up that meeting.
Sorry, you did, Gerard. To be made available to the public from 166 to 131 for the 2021 festival season. We have received comments back from various city departments. We have concerns being raised from the fire department about the location of the tent and also from Festival Hydro. We feel that those concerns can be addressed through the site plan approval process. So that would be a condition of a recommended condition of the approval of the application if you decided to approve it today. And the condition has been included to address those concerns.
Okay, is there anyone else to speak to this application?
Just give me 1 second here and I'm going to unmute Mr. Elliott so that he can speak.
Okay, Mr. Elliott,
So
go
take
ahead.
a second there.
Yeah.
I don't really have much to add to to the proposal. I have recently revised the drawings to accommodate for the Festival Hydro's concern, and we're currently making sure that fire is acceptable with the layout as well. So I don't believe there should be any concerns in the site plan approval process.
Okay, questions from committee members?
First
go ahead,
of all,
Charlene. Okay, Roger, go ahead.
I have a concern. I want to know why such a large thing is a minor variance. I look at this as a major variance. And when anything like this goes on in the park, usually the Parks Board look after it, or City Hall looks after it. I want to know why it's before the Committee of Adjustment.
Mr. Bannon, do you want to respond to that?
Through the chair. So it is located on private property. So it's part of the Stratford Festival, Tom Patterson Theatre lands, and it's within the parking lot area. In our opinion, we considered it to be minor in nature because the existing building, which is still just finalizing construction, they will not be in operation while this tent is being located on the property. So being that the parking isn't being used for that main use, there is additional parking still available in the area. There is parking that is being provided along Water Street for the tent. And once the season has completed, they will be taking that tent down. Also, as a result of the pandemic, there is a reduced number of people that are traveling to the city, that tourists aren't needing as much parking in the area as what they would have in past seasons. Part of that is because of the festival not running in both locations along the waterfront. And then other facilities aren't in full operation either as a result. In our opinion, we've gone through the 4 tests of the Planning Act and what we consider to be minor, which we've detailed in the report. But Mr. Black might not be in agreement with those.
Okay, any other committee members have questions? Jerry, go ahead.
Just a question for Jeff. What possibly could the fire department have a problem with?
Through the chair.
I'm not exactly. That's one of the questions that we're in discussions with them, because the access route for the building is actually on the main entrance door, which is way up actually at the 111 lake at the actual address, whereas this is a parking lot tucked around the side. So there isn't any direct access that they would need at this point. However, the facility manager from the festival is currently in discussions with fire to make sure there aren't any other concerns.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, what about washroom facilities? And what about, are they planning to have a concession stand? Because people that are in a tent get hot, they need water, and then if they need water, they need a bathroom. So I didn't see anything in regards to lavatories for the public.
Can I respond to that?
Just a point of clarification, first of all, Mr. Bannon, this is a application for a minor variance that deals with the tent location. The other items did not need to be part of this, correct?
Through the chair, yes. So in relation to washrooms, they'll have to provide those in order to get their building permit. So they would have to ensure that they meet all of those other building code issues, and we will be dealing with some of those items, such as making sure that they have some sort of washroom facilities, running water, and those types of amenities as a result of through that site plan application also.
Okay, Roger?
Yep, as long as it's being covered, it's a concern.
Okay. If there are no further questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the variances as discussed, as long as the concerns are met.
And the reason?
Well, the real reason is the festival needs to get up and running again, to be honest. But I don't believe we had any public input, and no. The variance is minor in nature.
Okay, is there a seconder to that? Seconding, anybody? Roger or Charlene, either one seconding?
I'm not seconding it.
Oh, Charlene is, okay. Yeah, she's got her hand up. Anyone opposed?
I'm opposed.
Okay. Here, having the one opposition and 2 in favor, then this is approved. Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Bannon?
No, I don't think that there's any other matters to be heard.
All right. Thank you all. See you next month.
Would you like a motion to adjourn?
Sure, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Charlene, seconder.
Thank you.
Jerry?
I'll second.
Okay. Any opposed? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.